Our series on University of Tulsa student athletes involved in the Tokyo Olympics continues now with Jennifer Casson, who is performing for Canada in the lightweight sculls, the women's double, along with Jill Moffitt, and she joins us now. And Jennifer, first of all, congratulations on being an Olympian. And what did that mean to you? What was that moment like?
Thank you. It was very strange because it didn't happen the way people typically find out they're going to the Olympics. Long story short, the New Zealand lightweight double could no longer compete at the Tokyo Games because they weren't able to fill their boat due to mental health. And we weren't sure where the spot was going to be allocated because they had previously qualified. But we had assumed it was going to be at last chance qualifications, which were the next week. So we were packed, ready to go, like suitcase packed, and plans to fly out. And then the announcement had come out that they're pulling their boat out. So that was, I would say, around 4 p.m. And then we contacted our high performance director. We were like, hey, what's happening? This is a big deal. He was like, oh, I'll send an email to FISA and ask them what's happening. And that was at 6:30 at night. So we went to bed, nothing big deal. We're like, okay, well, we'll find out one way or the other. And then the next morning I wake up and it's 5 o'clock and my phone is going off the hook. And I'm like, okay, what is happening? I honestly thought someone had died. And I look at my phone and everyone's like, congratulations, congratulations. And I'm just like, great, like for what? Like, what? Like, did I win something? And then I open up and the FISA, which is the governing body for rowing, hadn't contacted me, hadn't said anything. They just released a press statement that was saying, like, New Zealand can no longer fill a quota spot, goes to next spot from World Championships 2019, which we got 8th instead of 7th. And so we got the spot. And I was sitting alone, because I live by myself, so I was sitting alone in my bed reading these messages being like, I don't really know how to react right now. And I couldn't even celebrate or tell Jill because she gets up 20 minutes, 30 minutes after me. So I was just like sitting by myself, like wondering if this was real. So yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, like shock, but also questions and all the emotions really.
An unusual way to be picked for the Olympics because usually it's some event or some, say, gymnastics, it's a score or whatever, but ever how you get there, right? Doesn't matter. You're an Olympian.
Yeah, it's really unusual. I'm just so happy we got 8th instead of 7th or 9th. But yeah.
You were at Tulsa from 2013 to 2017, and you had already started to get a little bit of international experience even before your career with Tulsa was done, right?
Yes, yeah.
What was that like, and how did that prep you for what turned out to be an Olympic game appearance?
It really helped me. A lot of my teammates actually at Tulsa were very encouraging and excited when I joined the under-23 team. And that sort of motivated me to continue to like push on because I was like, oh, I didn't really think this was that big of a deal. But a lot of my teammates, like at the time, especially the younger grades, because I was a junior, senior, and then the freshman, sophomore were like, oh, that's so cool. And then I was like, oh, like I actually really enjoy this. And then thankfully, the way it worked, I was able to go train and compete in the summer and then just come back to school. Like it was pretty seamless. And Kevin always made opportunities for me to get all the training I needed to be best prepared.
And talking about Kevin Harris, of course, the head rowing coach at TU. You were first team American Athletic Conference, both as a junior and a senior, mostly in the 8s and the 4s. Is that correct? And that was not lightweight. Is that right? Or was it both?
Yeah, I came to Tulsa as a heavyweight. I was quite a bit larger. United States, there's only sweeping at university. So I hadn't really sculled at all actually prior. So yeah, I spent most of the time in the 4s and the 8s. The 8 was always like the best boat to be in, the varsity one. And then I didn't actually compete lightweight until my senior year, which I went to IRAs. So yeah, so I was always vying for a spot in the varsity one. And then I think if I remember correctly, I competed in the varsity one at the championships, and then I went and competed lightweight at IRAs the last year.
And there was a point during your career when you decided to be a lightweight, right? Was that a turning point for you?
Oh, huge. Yeah. I mean, there's no like hiding the truth. I definitely wasn't exactly healthy my first 2 years. Tulsa was really fun. And then I sort of started to take myself a little more seriously and changed my lifestyle to be a little more healthy. And it just sort of naturally came where as I became healthier, I sort of started to love being more fit and being stronger, and really got hooked with the sport and like the world it opened me up to of high competition. And thanks to Tulsa and being able to compete and having other boats beside us that were like known for being the boat to beat, like Texas and Virginia, and we had the opportunity to go and compete against those boats, I was like, okay, this is cool. I love being the underdog.
Jenny, you started rowing rather late. You were a runner early in your athletic career, if you will. Moved to rowing because you were getting, my understanding was, stress fractures in your legs, and so the stress fracture turns into a great rower, I guess, in some fashion. But that was an adjustment that you had to make, and I presume that was because you still wanted to be very competitive.
Yes. Yeah, I've always been very competitive. I have a younger brother. He will attest to that. I loved running. I love running so much. It was just the thrill of moving your body at its limits and pushing it to its limits. I don't know. I can't really describe what that is like, but it's so powerful, and it's like something inside of me that I like strive for probably too much. And so, yeah, I love running. I had a really great relationship with my coach at the time, Brad Hill, and we were kind of training a lot and doing whatever we could to make myself as fast as I could at a young age. And I was fast for at the time. But then, yeah, puberty happened and I like put on a lot of weight, but I was still doing the same kind of workouts and kilometers as I was, and my body couldn't handle it. So then when I had the stress fractures, my rowing coach in high school, my soon-to-be rowing coach in high school, saw me a couple times and was like, you should definitely try rowing. And I was like, I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. That's stupid. And my brother was rowing at the time, and he was sort of like, yeah, like you could try it if you wanted. It's not for everyone. And then I finally gave in because I was like so sick of going to the gym and not having like a purpose to my workouts. Very type A. And so finally I got into a boat and I was so bad and I hated it. But I like stuck with it because I was like, okay, there's people doing this. There has to be a reason. Like this is all I have also. And Kingston's beautiful, so it wasn't like it was hard to commit to the sunrise. And then it was funny because I got into a boat with 3 other girls, so 4, and we were all novices, and I'm talking like sweatpants with the slides, like just no idea what you're doing. And the coach that we were assigned was sort of like, we were kind of like a charity. Like it was like, oh, I don't really want to deal with this, but I'll deal with it. And like that ticked me off. So I was like, oh, fine. Like, you don't want to deal with this? Okay. And then like that sort of started like how I got like more competitive. So then I really stuck with it because I knew he didn't want to be there. And I was like, no, I'm going to learn this, and then we're going to be good, and then we're going to go and win something.
Take us now. You're in BC in Western Canada. Take us through what happens between now and Tokyo. What's the timeline?
Oh, okay. So very exciting. So today is what day? Today is Monday. So we leave to Sagamihara on Thursday. Sagamihara is a city in Japan, which we will be training out of. It's a little remote city, about 60 kilometers, I want to say inland from Tokyo. So there's a mountain range, and we do not get the breeze of the sea air. So currently in Victoria, we are experiencing a heat wave. It is 41 degrees outside today, which I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's hot. And so we'll be going to an even warmer place with humidity. So we've been doing a lot of climate training, which means we go into a heat chamber and they turn up the humidity to say 50 degrees and you do some training. And then they monitor your temperature and your cooling rates. Oh, pretty boring. But from an exercise sports science side, it's very interesting. So we'll take off on Thursday and we will land the next day. Japan is 1 hour ahead. We will arrive, and then there's like, we're going to be in the airport for like 5 hours. They have to go through all of our things. There's a lot of strict COVID protocol we've had to adhere to, about like 3 surveys. I had my first COVID test today. I'll have another one tomorrow. And then another one on Wednesday. And then I think we get one every single day when we're there, and temperature checks. So 14 days of temperature check. No, 14 days of temperature checks. I think it's like 4 COVID tests, and then fly over and get it regulated. And then there's a lot of entry forms you have to fill out. So like, who have you seen? What flight did you come on? Yada, yada, yada. So I feel pretty safe. And we're vaccinated. So like, we all feel really safe. So yeah, so we'll go over, we'll do our training until the 16th. On the 16th of July, we will then go into the Olympic Village. We'll arrive, we'll probably take a bus, arrive, we'll get screened again, get all of our accreditation, shuttle up to our rooms, and then we're allotted certain periods to go and rig our boats and row. We'll then go from our athlete accommodations. I think it's like a 16-minute drive to the course. We'll rig, we'll row, we'll get off the water, and then we're in the Olympic Village until our competition starts on my race is the 24th, but rowing starts on the 23rd. We will not be at the opening ceremonies, sadly, if there are some, I don't know.
Well, very good. 41 degrees Celsius might seem cold for those down here that are used to Fahrenheit. It's 106 Fahrenheit, by the way, in case somebody's wondering. So it is really hot up there right now. What are your expectations as you go and compete?
I'm beyond excited. Jill and I have spent the past 2 years just working harder and harder and harder in the right way. So working harder for each other, working harder for the boat, trying to understand how to move the boat, how to get with each other, and how to best ourselves in our training. Always with a purpose, always with a goal, and then executing to our expectations and not falling below that, but also not putting too much pressure on ourselves where we kind of crack. I tend to put way too much pressure on myself and Jill, so I'm kind of very serious and a lot more strict, whereas Jill always has her head in the game, but has a much more air of like happy and fun and enjoying. Excuse me. And that's really important for our dynamic because you can't have two of the same. It won't go anywhere. But I'm definitely a lot more harsh. But when it comes to our expectations going in, I can say without a doubt that our expectations are to have our best race. I mean, we've said it before and we'll say it forever because that's all we can do. We haven't competed. We're the only lightweight double, I think, that has not been on the world stage since COVID started. We haven't raced since 2019. We are rowing very differently. And I have no idea what our international speed is going to be. I know it's going to be hard. There are some amazing crews there. But that's what we love. So what would be the point of going if there wasn't great competition? I think it's if we end up where it's sort of a out of the medals position, but we had our best race, you had your best race. Like this is the Olympics. You can't pull something out of a hat. Like you have to go in knowing what you have to bring to the table. And I think we do. And we all we can do is test the waters. Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, thank you for taking the time. We're so proud of you, and I know you'll be carrying the Canadian flag and maybe the hurricane warning flag below that, maybe a little bit on the pole. But we are so happy that you've made it to the Olympics, and good luck, safe travels, and we certainly look forward to seeing you afterward.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Go Tulsa!
Jennifer Casson, University of Tulsa student athlete who's going to the Olympics for Canada.